I gave a speech recently and showed the map of Syria and Iraq and the area that ISIS used to occupy that it no longer occupies, and the area that it occupies now that it did not occupy. And the difference is dramatic, that you all have shrunk the territorial occupation of ISIS, and you are to be congratulated on that. But at the end of the day, as you all have already testified, Syria is not going to be able to contain ISIS until at least there is a plan for the exit of President Assad. Now, when that occurs, what is the Arab force that is going to be on the ground with the guidance of our special operations forces? Give me a concept of what that makeup is of that Arab force.
Well, it's a very good question, and it gets to the issue of the end state of the campaign here and the critical political ingredient, because a political transition in Syria is essential to a durable end state to this, because it's the civil war in Syria that started this whole business in Syria. And that would mean, and at that time, the force that is now not available because they're fighting each other, but that could fight ISIL, is the combination of Syrian forces and the moderate opposition that is now fighting Syria. If there's a political settlement, in the meantime, we're using forces, some Kurds up north, the YPG, and we're trying to accumulate additional Syrian Arabs who want to take their homes back from ISIL. But the civil war is, meanwhile, using up a lot of combat power that could potentially be used against ISIL.
So you really believe that once there's a path for Assad to leave, that Syrian government forces, which include Alawites, which are Shia, are going to join up with the opposition Sunni forces to go after ISIL?
The political transition is exactly to have a Syria that is once again whole, multi-sectarian, for sure, like all those states over there with all the complications that go with that and that we see in Iraq. But that as an alternative to sectarianism and the continuation of sectarian civil war, yes.
So go over to Iraq. Is that anti-sectarian? Is it working with the forces on the ground that we're supporting from the air?
Well, first of all, Prime Minister Abadi, I've spoken to him frequently. I'll have an opportunity to speak to him in coming days when I too will be visiting our troops in theater. Is committed precisely to that kind of vision for Iraq. I believe him. I've talked to him.
Do you think it's working?
Well, that's whether he can pull it off in Baghdad is obviously a difficult matter for him. We are supporting him in that regard because we believe that the alternative, which is further sectarian division, civil war, cleansing, and so forth, we've seen that before. And if he can keep his vision of an Iraq, which he called is decentralized, so it's not everybody under the thumb of Baghdad, because he knows the Kurds and the Sunnis won't go for that, but still the ability to retain an integral state that keeps peace within its borders. That's what he's committed to. That's the end state we also want in Iraq.